today we have a very special guest that's calling in, and he's got quite a fanfare. We've got a lot of calls in and a lot of questions in this morning. Dennis O'Leary, who is the CEO of Darkpulse, founder of Sulu Electric Power and Light Corp., co-founder and chairman of Darkpulse Technologies, has extensive experience and works in multiple businesses, both on exit strategies and growing businesses, has served in a lot of federal as well as international ambassador roles, and has an extensive resume in working on the nation's infrastructure. Dennis, welcome to the show.
Hey, Michael. Really appreciate you having me on.
You got it. Well, look, I've been a follower of yours now for about a year, I guess, and following Darkpulse, which is a very unique company. I was turned on to it by some friends, and they gave me just a taste of what your technology does and how it's being implemented in the United States and other markets around the world. And it's just fascinating to me. So, one, give us a little bit of a background on Darkpulse and your technology and how it's working to improve infrastructure.
Yeah, sure. So I found the patent of a technique called dark pulsing. It's a science called distributed fiber optic sensing. Really, the technique was discovered about almost 100 years ago, something called Brilliant scattering. Not to go too deep there, but current systems, they use what they call bright pulsing, and it's just the technique of, how you take, let's say, a snapshot along this sort of sensing cable. The beautiful thing with all distributed sensing is that it's not a point sensor. The actual fiber cable itself, so if we have a 100-kilometer fiber optic cable, the entire cable is the sensor. And what you could do with this is, you could wrap it around a pipeline and detect, internal corrosion. You can run it along, a national border and see if anybody's crossing the border. You can put it into roadways and bridges and make smart infrastructure. I guess the differentiating factor is between bright pulse and dark pulse. And really, to date, everything in distributed in terms of BOTDA has been bright pulsing. And it's just got inherent problems. One is there's a temperature and a strain cross-sensitivity. You can't detect strain and temperature on the same sensing cable that I was talking about. Along comes a PhD named Anthony Brown. There had been a lot of different techniques to try to get a better resolution, a clearer picture, more capabilities, longer sensing lengths on that cable. There's all kinds of things, double pumping, pre-pumping, all these different things with these lasers. And Anthony Brown turns it literally on its head and decides, well, rather than take a snapshot when this laser is, full blast, let's sort of hide behind that full blast of a laser and send a pulse of no light, dark pulse. And that actually got rid of a lot of the inherent problems with signal to noise ratio and really brings us down to a resolution that's just not out there. And for me, it's been a 10-year struggle, I'll call it, because the first systems promised a lot, didn't really deliver very much. And then along comes Darkpulse with just incredible resolutions that really have not been seen yet in the industry. So that's a differentiating factor. I just happened to find the patents for dark pulsing. I met with Dr. Brown and pulled them out of the University of New Brunswick up in Canada, and we started Darkpulse Inc. About 10 years ago.
So if you look at the company and the trajectory, and again, over the last year, I've seen you making many acquisitions and partnerships and strategically moving not only in the United States, but all around the world. I guess as you look at the strategy going forward, what is the long-term plan with Darkpulse, especially as Louisiana, as well as the rest of the nation, starts to make critical infrastructure investment? What is what's the long-term plan, and where do you see Darkpulse going?
Okay, yeah, so I'm glad you brought up the acquisition. That strategy was, I guess primarily to give us a global footprint, seeing where we're headed in terms of smart cities. And I kind of got into a science called system dynamics, and I won't go deep into that, but really, it's connecting the entire globe. And I looked at Darkpulse as sort of this foundational technology to actually create this sort of connection. And it starts with smart cities. And that's really like the hot topic now. We're talking about smart cities, global systems even goes beyond that. It's connecting financial, it's connecting social, government. So really, I guess the basis to have all of these sort of systems and understanding, almost like it's a feedback loop. You need data, and essentially, Darkpulse is becoming a data company. And again, how do you collect that data? You have these sensors. So that's the big plan, is this sort of global systems dynamics, I like to call it. But in the short term, again, we're acquiring companies that give us that global footprint, give us capabilities in terms of a response. So right now, we have drone companies, we have a manufacturing company. We purchased a large UK-based company called Optilon. That brought us to 7 countries. It gave us 30 years experienced team members, north of 250 people. Again, we're looking at how we can position the company to go forward in terms of smart infrastructure, which I believe is really the foundational, or really the pivotal step towards this global system dynamics. And I think we're a little bit ahead of our time in terms of talking about GSD, but again, it's just capabilities. And if I may, just a quick example. Again, with our technology, let's just say an oil and gas pipeline. Current sensors, maybe get you within a couple of football fields of a leak, and it has to be a substantial leak. With the resolutions that our systems has, we can, alert that there's something going on inside that pipe before, internal corrosion, pitting, pipe wall thinning, long before there's an environmental impact. And let's say we get an alert, there's a change in the pressure or temperature or, pipe wall thinning. We have the capability now to put a drone overhead within minutes. There's sensors on the drones, there's AI cameras on the drones. So we have an immediate response, which gives let's say, a pipeline operator a multitude of options in terms of how to respond to that situation versus, oh no, we have this, 1,000-barrel oil leak. What are we going to do? And how do we, protect the environment and the people who live nearby? So just really a game changer. And again, it goes towards the acquisitions, and you'll see each acquisition really just brings a multitude of services to all deployments, whether it's, bridges and tunnels or smart buildings or, we could go on forever. In Louisiana, we can monitor waterways and levees and dikes and things like that. So imagine having a system that can alert you to an issue before it becomes an issue, and then have a multitude of responses. And that's really why you see the acquisitions and why you'll continue to see those acquisitions.